a copy of as well. Thank you. Great. If you need to remain anonymous, you feel free to turn your camera off. This webinar will be available for those that weren't able to make it online afterwards on the afghanwelcome.org website, so you can let people engage with that. Great. Good. We have Yiman came from Hong Kong in 2017, studying an MBA, newcomer coordinator of St. Peter's Church in St. Albans. Very nice to meet you, Yiman. We've been doing a lot of work with new arrivals from Hong Kong under the BNO settlement. And I don't know if you're familiar with ukhk.org. That's a network we've created.
Yes. I'm joining this one since the first day you have it.
Yes, thank you.
A lot of the Hong Kong people, Hong Kong families are here already. So I'm working very hard with them. I'm trying to contact the councillors as well. Wonderful. And I spoke to my MP, but I'm still trying to avoid help them. And even though I spoke to the Citizen Advice Bureau as well.
Good. Oh, wonderful. Well, if you're up for praying, we have a submission into the government for a central fund to expand the work that UKHK has been doing. And we're hoping to hear before the end of September that we've got the funding, and then we've got crazy ambitious plans. So, do pray. If we don't get the government funding, then we'll go elsewhere for the funding. But it'd be great if the government were able to support what we're doing. So lovely to see you. Welcome to you. Great. Sarah Turner from Gloucester Vineyard. Nice to see you. I'm a huge fan of Vineyard churches. One of the Vineyard churches in Sutton has been leading the way for us in Hong Kong response. They've been serving, hundreds of families actually in that vicinity. So it's good to have Vineyard join us for this event too. Brilliant. Daniel, where have you come from? You're on mute at the moment. That might be my fault. I apologise.
No, I'm in Erdington in Birmingham.
And man, you could be a soul singer. You've got a really deep, rich voice. That's amazing. Have you got Barry White mode on your computer?
Yeah, as standard. That's what it comes as.
That's so good. Which church is it?
We call it Oikos.
Oikos. And is it part of a network or is it independent?
So we're part of the FIEC.
Oh, great. So good to have you here. Thank you. Warm welcome to you.
Thank you very much.
Great. Okay. Oh, here we go. We've got Emily from Welcome Churches. We'll do proper invitations and welcomes and introductions later, but great to have you here, Emily. I feel like I've spent most of the morning in a conversation either with you or other members of your team, so we're really grateful.
I feel like I spend most of my week in conversations with you, Chris.
Welcome Churches are just knocking it out of the park. That's right. It's fantastic. Very good. Warm welcome. Oh, look, Erica, you have the best background so far. Are you in a woodland somewhere?
I'm in my garden, Chris. Sitting under a tree in the shade. I thought, there's no point in having the sunshine and being indoors today.
Oh, I'm indoors, so I'm very jealous. And you've got great Wi-Fi for your garden. Some people in offices have worse Wi-Fi than you. Well done.
No. Yes, I've got very good Wi-Fi. So I've been in the garden most of the summer.
And which part of the country are you in?
South London. I'm the Vicar of Stockwell.
Yes, great. Good to have you here. We've been loving the Bishop of London, Bishop Sarah. She's like, yes, I'm in. Whatever it is, I'm in. She and I took a picture outside St. Martin in the Field Church with a banner for UKHK. The banner, I think, is still there and has now been seen by hundreds of thousands of people. And the photo of me and her went on almost every Hong Kong news outlet. And so she's brilliant. We're big fans of the Diocese of London. So thanks for being part of today.
That's really good, except I'm in the Diocese of Southwark, but the Diocese of London is good too. So
Southwark, now you're talking. Southwark is the same as Sutton, isn't it?
No, it's all of South London. It's the Diocese.
Yeah. Doesn't the Bishop of London kind of be a bishop over the whole thing?
She's a bishop, but she's not the Bishop of Southwark. No.
Oh, okay. I know there's another Bishop of Southwark, and he's been great. Very good. Welcome. Anyway, nice to see you. Very good. All right, we are 2 minutes away from kickoff. Have you seen Tom yet, Annie? Because I'd love for Tom to do a bit of an intro to everybody before we dive in.
Yeah, that would be a great idea. I haven't seen him yet.
Okay. We'll give Tom a big build up. Tom is now the chair, I think, of Resurgo, which is a fantastic outfit helping people get back to work. That's something that we've been engaging with them on for Hong Kongers and for Afghans in stage 2 of the help we're doing. But he's also, what's his role for Love Your Neighbour? Is he
He's the CEO of Love Your Neighbour.
Wow, as if Resurgo wasn't enough, he's also the CEO of Love Your Neighbour. So it's good to give him his time when he's ready. So if you see him, we'll kick off. Otherwise, Annie, you'll have to do some kind of Love Your Neighbour welcome.
I think I'm here, Krish. If you're
Hey, Tom's here. Hey, great, excellent. All right, we have 60 seconds left before we need to formally begin. So now I can give Tom the big build-up. Are you ready? This is Tom. He is the CEO of Love Your Neighbour. He is the chair of Resurgo, and he was the one that thought this would be a great idea for a seminar. So we're very grateful that we're able to work with Annie and Tom on this. And I'm just going to hand straight over to him so that he can do our introduction and maybe say a little prayer as we get started.
Krish, thank you so much. This is completely the wrong way around, since I thought my only job was to introduce and welcome you. So you're so kind. I'll get my video on because I see it's not on. I thought I was welcoming you, so you're so kind. But I'll just say a few words in just a moment. But yeah, let's welcome to everybody. It's great to see you on this call. Thank you so much for joining us. And shall we just start with a word of prayer? Lord, we thank you so much for your presence with us now. We thank you that you are the God who watches over the whole world, and we thank you that you love each and every person that you've made. We come to you and ask for your wisdom, for your love, for your favor, as we think how we can respond to and best support those who are coming at this time from Afghanistan, and especially on Krish and all the church involved. And lead us now in this next 45 minutes together, we pray, in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. So can I just say, I just want to get a huge welcome very quickly. As Krish said, my name's Tom Jackson. I'm here as part of the Love Your Neighbour Alliance of Churches. And I want to say a huge thank you to many of you I know have come to this through the Love Your Neighbour Alliance. I know there are others here as well, and a huge welcome to you too. For those who don't know Love Your Neighbour, it's an alliance of now 2,300 churches and other organizations working together, clustering around hubs to try and help people in poverty to not only in the crisis, but to get out of poverty over time. And we've been a response to COVID. We managed to raise together in the first year over £15 million of funding. We've delivered now nearly 20 million meals together, but we've also set up multiple debt centres, advice centres, working with organisations who'll be so familiar with you, like Christians Against Poverty and Trussell Trust and so forth. And it's completely natural for us to, first of all, want to be part of the wider movement of churches and heart of church to be responding to the Afghan refugee crisis, and we wanted to work with Krish and the Welcome Churches Network. So that's why we were just pleased to play a little part in being able to convene this and to introduce you. And I know that many of you will already have lots of experience of working with refugees and people seeking asylum and so forth, and we'll be doing much. Others of us, this might be a newer area. Perhaps we're trying to work out where to play and how to start. And I can't think of anyone better to help us to do this than Krish. Those of you who don't know Krish, I first met him when he was a lecturer in Oxford, I think in missiology, if I remember correctly. I didn't know that he was a chemist, or at least a chemistry graduate before then. Many of us will know him through the amazing work that he's done through Home for Good in founding and building that fantastic charity, supporting, helping churches and families to help adopt and foster children. And through that, he was appointed recently by the government as the chair of the Adoption and Special Guardianship Leadership Board. And as if that wasn't enough, he has more recently joined together with Welcome Church as an advisor, helping churches think through, helping to get ready to welcome people from Hong Kong. And then specifically recently with the Welcome Afghan initiative. So it's a great privilege Krish, to have you with us. I know that you live in Oxfordshire with your wife and 7 children by birth, adoption, and through fostering. And I think we want to say, first of all, thank you for the lead that you're taking this on behalf of the church. We're really grateful to you. And over to you to guide us. But I think the plan, by the way, is you're going to speak for about 15 minutes or so. We'll hopefully have time for Q&A. So you can, any questions, please pop them in the chat, and we'll pick up on those as best we can. We're hoping to run for about 45 minutes, but can we all give, in a very Zoom type virtual clapping way, a huge welcome to Krish Kandaya.
Hey, thank you very much, Tom. I'll try not to blush as you gave me such a kind introduction. It's lovely to see you all. If you can't see me, there's a way that you can make it so that the speaker can be seen. If you go to view and then go to speaker view, then I should pop up on your screen. I'm looking at Tom at the moment, but that's quite a nice view. The only disappointing thing about Tom is he hasn't got any of my books on his bookshelf behind him, but we can fix that, I think. Anyway, really, really good to be with you. I'm going to introduce you to some of my friends as we go through our time together. But just to say, well done already. What churches have been doing under lockdown and COVID has been fantastic. What churches have been doing to welcome and support people from Hong Kong has been amazing. We had 600 churches sign up to be part of that welcome team. And now, again, every time we come to the church and say, look, can you help us to welcome Afghans? People are stepping up. So well done. And some things are more frustrating than others. Sometimes systems aren't working the way they should do, not just from our end, but often from the government's end. So thanks for bearing with us and being patient. But I want to tell you what's needed and what you can do wherever you are in the country. That's my aim. And so let's get into it. So I got a call from the Home Office about a month ago when they realized that this evacuation of translators and mechanics and security guards, anyone that had helped the UK forces or the embassy or our greater mission in Afghanistan, anyone who had a direct contract could come here with their dependent children under 18 and their wives or husbands. And so the government realized that there was going to be an issue, and it's still an issue today, and it's something you might be able to help us with. The main issue is housing. If you're a church that cares for the poor, you'll know there is a national shortage for housing, social housing. But there's a particular issue because Afghan families are like mine. I currently have 6 children. One of our foster children has moved on. So there's 6 children and myself and my wife. That's 8 of us. And that's considered a large family in the UK. I'm thinking I'm loving Afghan people because they consider that a normal family. So trying to find housing for people in family sizes of 8 is really difficult. And so what the government's been forced to do is after people have been in a quarantine hotel, normally for about 10 days, they get moved to what's called a bridging hotel. And that bridging hotel can be anywhere in the UK where they can find the hotel space. And often it will have at least 100 Afghan refugees come to live in that hotel. And you've done the maths already. If it's 2 adults to 6 children, that means 3/4 of those in the hotels are going to be kids. And they're normally primary school age children. So imagine the scene, like you've seen so much of the pictures from Kabul airport, people so desperate to get away from the Taliban, they're hanging onto the outside of the airplane, or they're crammed into cargo holds. They've only been able to bring what they could carry in their hands. And then they arrive in the UK, traumatized from the whole experience of leaving behind their family members, brothers and sisters, aunties and uncles. Even if you have a child who's over 18, you weren't allowed to bring them. Okay, so if you're angry about that, there's a whole nother piece of work we're doing. Get in touch with us on Welcome Churches about that. So our job is, well, what kind of help and support do these families need when they arrive into a transition hotel? We're not dealing at the moment with the quarantine hotels. We think they're too short term and it's complicated getting in. But we were invited by the Home Office to support these hotels. Now, I'd love to tell you that this operation from the government's side has been absolutely smooth and perfect. I had high estimations after watching loads of James Bond movies growing up that, you know, we know how to diffuse a nuclear war on another side of the planet. but moving 8,000 people into loads of hotels around the country in large family groups and looking after their needs, coordinating with the local authority, with the Home Office, with the hotel manager, and with other groups that want to help that are being organized through the VCSEP, the Emergency Partnership, is proving a challenge. And so we come in and we say, look, okay, we're here to help you. We are patient, we're gracious, we're deployable anywhere you need us. I had a wonderful moment with the Home Office where they said, well, where exactly are you guys based? And I'm saying, we're everywhere. You know, the church is everywhere. In every town and city and village in the vicinity of one of those hotels you've got, we can find Christians that can step up and help. And to be honest, everywhere we've asked, that's happened. And it was lovely to say, look, the church has actually been doing this kind of thing for 2,000 years. We've got a track record that caring for the vulnerable is part of our DNA. And so let us know how we can be of assistance. So we're stepping up support around those hotels. Some of the Afghans have been in those hotels days, and I'm looking around the call. I know there's people that have been helping in the recent days to connect support and help to those hotels. But some of the people in the hotels have been there for weeks, some even a month. And so there's different needs as you go through that timeline. So here's a very quick practical thing, and maybe Emily can help me with chat on this one. One practical thing you can do is to make sure that your church is part of the Welcome Churches network, because we don't know where the next hotel is going to pop up that the government's going to engage. And it would really help us to know that your church is up for helping. So Welcome Churches are a key partner in doing that. And they've been stepping up support around the country. So let us know you're there. Now you might go, we haven't even got a hotel anywhere near us. That's okay. Because gradually, probably over the next few months, families are going to be moved from those hotels into long-term housing. And that housing can take place anywhere in the UK. And this isn't necessarily being done in the most strategic way you could imagine. It's wherever there's a house that can fit someone, that's where we're sending people. So some people are going without any other local support. No other Afghan families in the vicinity. I'm a huge fan of Wales. My wife is half Welsh, but some of the places they're being sent to in Wales, there's not a lot of ethnic diversity going on, and so the Afghans are feeling a little bit isolated, and people just don't understand them. So wouldn't it be amazing if your church was on the Welcome Churches network? So we find out someone's been moved to a small town in Wales or Northumberland or Sussex. We can say, right, can you step up support around a family rather than around a hotel? So let us know where you are so we can be ready for that. Now, I know Tom said we shouldn't speak for more than 15 minutes, but it's an important value of ours that all of this has been done with the cooperation and consultation with Afghan people. We have a phrase that we use. We picked it up in my work at Home for Good. It says, nothing about us without us. And so Ali is an amazing man who works for Welcome Churches. He moved to the UK as a refugee, having worked with the United Nations. He's been a consultant in everything we've been doing. I've asked him if he'd contribute a little bit today and just help us empathize a little bit, help us understand what some of these families are going to be feeling moving to the UK from Afghanistan. So Ali, could you help us get a bit of an understanding about that?
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, probably you all know about the recent situation and development in Afghanistan, and these people actually packed their lives, and in a very hurry, actually, they reached the Kabul International Airport and airlifted here. So when they arrived in the UK, they have a kind of the mixed feeling. One side is that they are happy, they are safe, they are in a safe country, and the kids can start actually a new life here. But on the other side, also, they are worried about their families, their extended families back home, that they are under the Taliban regimes, and probably they will be prosecuted because of their involvement or their families' involvement with the UK government in Afghanistan. So that is the situation. The people are coming from different cities, and they are coming from different level of education as well. It's those who have been working with with the British Embassy. They do have some kind of the degrees from university. Some of them are from a practical points that they were mechanics or they were security guards or drivers. They may have a less level of English, but those who are on the front line with the British troops on the ground, they have a good level of English. So that is the type of people and the variety of people that we are facing with and we are welcoming.
Wonderful, Ali. Thank you. And thank you for all the work you've been doing. Ali and I visited a hotel quite early on in this phase of the evacuation, and just having him speak Farsi, and there's a dialect of Farsi called Dari that they use in Afghanistan. Just you could see people's eyes lighting up with delight that someone spoke their language, understood where they were coming from, was listening to them, sitting down with them, talking with them. It's been absolutely brilliant to have Ali on that. So the first thing you can do is join. The second thing you can do, everyone can do here, is give. Now, be clear. I don't know what it is about us Christians, but as soon as there's an emergency or a disaster, we start collecting stuff. Maybe your church has done that already. You know, if the news is out in the community that you're collecting stuff, pretty soon everyone that's got a boot full of stuff they were about to take to a tip ends up in your church. So we're suggesting, gently and kindly, if you've already done this, you know, well done, not to collect stuff at this stage of the emergency. It will fill your church up. It will take loads of time. Symbolically, it doesn't look great that we're giving people cast-offs, and it's expensive in terms of storage and all the time. What we're suggesting, particularly because our focus is triaging the most vulnerable people in this move, and that is mothers who have children under 5. That's where we're focusing. If you've been following the news, tragically 3 children that I know of in this evacuation have died that were under 6. 2 died in Poland and 1 died in Sheffield. So we're thinking, let's target the support around mothers and children under 5. And so what we're doing with our volunteers, and you might be one of those volunteers that's been in from the church, you come to a training seminar that we put on, and then we do a basic needs assessment with every Afghan family in a hotel with a translator. And you'd have thought someone else would have done that. That's a whole political question you can get into at some point, but sometimes, often, we're the only people to have asked these questions. What do you actually need? And out of the needs that we're identifying, we're then sourcing stuff direct from manufacturer, and sometimes through, you know, this network of people and Christians and churches, we've got a direct link with a big manufacturer who's giving us stuff for free or at cost. Anything that we can't source that's supporting mothers and children under 5, we put onto an Amazon and Common Good wish list. And you may have seen the Guardian newspaper covered us when, after I think it was like 2 days, 17,000 items were bought and sent directly to our partner, Baby Basics, which is based in Sheffield, who are then sorting it, packaging it, and then sending it out again to the hotels that we're currently working in. But the news is that's old news now. It's over 33,000 items have now been bought. And it's been fantastic, absolutely encouraging to see what's happening. You may have a connection with a large supplier. Today, I was looking for someone that might help us with van hire. We've had so much support that we need to get hold of another van. Someone emails me and goes, my son is the head of, I can't remember what it was now, but for Euro hire, do you think he could be helpful? So he's going to help sort us out. So within the network, there will be someone who works for XYZ organization that might be able to help us get some stuff new. Anyway, so give money, or give on one of the wish lists. Don't collect stuff at this stage, maybe later. Someone said, do these people need my secondhand furniture? I'm saying they're living in 4 hotel rooms. They don't need your used sofa right now. Maybe later. I'm not even convinced then, but you know, hold off. Don't collect stuff. And the third thing you can do is we're giving up to the minute prayer information. So pray wherever you are in the UK, pray, and you can do that on the afghanwelcome.org website. Emily's going to put it in the chat for us, where we've got a little newsletter that we've set up, and we can send you information. It's normally going to be a little video from me telling you what's happened in the day or in the last few days and what the next set of needs are. So that's what everybody can do. But specifically on top of that, when we move into the second stage, there's a whole bunch of things we can tell you about. Tom, have I got time to tell people about that, or do I need to take some questions?
You got as much time as you like, Chris, please do.
Amazing. So once we've got over the initial emergency, we then move into a whole set of other needs that people have. And let me bring Emily in at this stage. Emily is the joint CEO of Welcome Churches, who have been welcoming asylum seekers and refugees for many years now, and it's been a delight to work with them. Emily, help us understand how we want to move on from just providing stuff and making it a very transactional engagement. What's our ambition in terms of the welcome we want to offer Afghan families?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. And just to say, it's so good to see so many of you who have been working with Welcome Churches for a long time, before Afghan Welcome and before the kind of the recent media interest, particularly, that I know that so many on this call care passionately about refugees and asylum seekers in the UK, beyond the new arrivals that we've seen as well, and that's really great to see. And our hope is that this will extend beyond Afghans, that every refugee, our motto is every refugee welcomed by the local church, and that is our heart and our passion. So we'd love to see that happen in your churches as well. We're also really passionate about relationships and everything coming out of relationships. Sometimes when we see huge humanitarian crises and in the news, we want to respond very quickly and respond with donations, which is incredibly generous and grateful. But I think lots of people at the moment are comparing this to the Syrian crisis in 2015. And what we saw around the country in a lot of places was that there was a huge overwhelm of support to begin with, and then that kind of tailored off quite quickly, and then a year in, 2 years in, Syrian families who are in the UK, many of them haven't been connected with local people. They don't have those relationships and they don't feel integrated in the community. So we really want to start there. We want to start by having the big picture in mind of how are we going to help these families be part of UK life in the long term. And so everything we do is out of relationship. We don't just give people stuff that we think they need, we ask them what they need, and then try and respond accordingly, help signpost them to different things that they're asking for. So if they're asking for the mosque, then we signpost them to the mosque. And yeah, it's really about relationship, building relationships and making sure that people feel welcome and connected into the community.
Brilliant. And it's been a wonder to work with Welcome Church. It's so agile. We've moved from 70 churches on the network to over 600 in just a few months, which has been fantastic. So some of the needs that we've identified so far, and again, a lot of this information we're putting through the Afghan Welcome website, afghanwelcome.org. So one is education, because it's likely that people are going to stay in these hotels for months, not weeks. And if you've got 3/4 of the population of the hotels being children, many with nothing to do, no trauma support. We're talking directly with the Department for Education about what they're providing. There's always an interesting relationship with local authorities, what they're able to provide. So what can we do in the interim while we're waiting for that support to take place? And again, don't just turn up at the hotel and try and deliver all this. Come through us, but I'm painting a picture of where we're going next. So we've been given 2,500 laptops by a DFE supplier. We're doing a build on them so that they've got all the child protection stuff in place. We're working with an amazing charity called Refugee Education. What is it, Emily? Refugee Education
UK.
UK. Oh, I knew it had another word. So we've got a pack of information we're able to give to families about how education works here, and a whole bunch of websites that they can start to access to help their children get going. It may be possible at some stage, when the relationships are there with the hotels in the different areas, for some form of children and youth work to take place. But obviously, we'll be super vigilant about safeguarding. So don't just rock up and provide this, but that is one of the areas that we're exploring. We are also really interested in work. Afghans arriving in this way can work immediately. They have should be given a biometric residency card with a national insurance number. Many of the Afghans have got that in the quarantine hotels, some not yet, but some who have been around for a month are now bored and ready to work. And working is good because it helps you with your integration, with your sense of identity. And also, if you're just watching the news 24/7, it's been about Afghanistan for the last 2 weeks, and you're just increasing your trauma about your family. So work's a great way to get going. And we've been chatting with Tom and the team at Resurgo about whether we can do some skills to work training in some of the hotels. We're not ready to do that. We're going to pilot it in one of the hotels first, but that's something we're also interested in exploring. A third area is housing. That was the first issue. Do you remember, if we could have had enough social housing available, then people wouldn't have needed to go into the hotels in the first place. So there's a little project going on about is it possible for Christians who have some money or Christians that have some properties to make properties available to the local authority? Now, there are lots of issues with that because some of the local authorities are not necessarily excited about encouraging more refugees to live in their area, and some are. So we've got to triangulate that. But that's a whole piece of work that we've been exploring as well. And another thing, I think, again, something any church can do, I'm going to ask Shona to help me with this in a second, is that we've made some banners. Now, we do not want these banners on the outside of the hotels because that's like putting a target on the back of someone, because there are groups out there that are not excited about Afghan refugees coming. But we think it's really cool if some of the churches put these banners outside of their church. And in fact, in one area in London, people have seen this banner. I wonder if you can share it, Shona. Is that gonna work? This is the banner that we've got, and it's in 3 languages. It's in Pashto at the top, English in the middle, and Dari on the bottom. And all it says is "Welcome to the UK." We'd love it if around the nation, churches stuck a banner like that on the outside. Thanks for sharing that, Shona. And we've got a supplier that will get one of those banners, same size, same everything, to you. You need to pay for it, but I think it's 100 quid all in and delivered to you. And what we've noticed is Afghans seeing those banners have got their phones out and taken selfies of themselves with the banner as if to say, I belong here. You might also see, sorry, it's a bit dodgy, I have a t-shirt with the same messaging on it, and it's possible to order t-shirts like that too. And again, just walking into some of the hotels, the kids pointing at the t-shirt saying that's my language, that's me. Again, they're just symbolic gestures, but it just says to the Afghans, we're proud that you're here. We're delighted to help you in any way we can. We value your culture, and we just want to cheer you on. So love it if you guys were up for that. Remember, don't put it anywhere near a hotel because we don't want to shine a light on where they are. But we do, wouldn't it be amazing if social media was covered with churches saying, we are for you. We are absolutely behind you being here, and we'll do everything we can to help you arrive. Okay, I think, Tom, I've spoken maybe too much, but do you want to help us field some questions, and let's see how we can move forward?
Yeah, thank you so much, Krish. And I can see a couple of questions coming already, which we'll come to in just a moment. But please, if you've got questions, this is your chance to ask Krish and the team. Huge thanks, Krish, for what you said already. Ali, thank you for sharing with us. We so appreciated hearing from you. And also, Emily, thank you to you and your team for what you're doing through Welcome Churches, and we appreciate that. So I certainly know as you're popping those questions up, you've served us well at HTB, and a team were able to get out over the weekend to welcome people coming, a few hundred people actually coming to hotels near us, and we've seen what you've said about, it was quite clear from some of the immediate needs in terms of clothing and baby stuff. We saw all of that, and we were able to raise some funding through our services, and so we echo everything you said already, and also I think this distinction you made, Chris, is really helpful between the kind of immediate needs, the phase 1, and what is to come, and that was clear just even talking with the hotel manager and so forth. The job right now is just to get people settled into where they are and meet the immediate needs. But I know we will all be concerned to find the right time to respond to the other areas you've mentioned. And I guess as well as, including education is English, learning English. That's going to be a huge need, as well as the other areas like housing and work and so forth that you mentioned. And I'd just love to say, from a Love Your Neighbour point of view, we're really keen to work with you. I know we've got over 60 hubs who have already developed fantastic responses in that area. And I think if we can help to raise more funding and so forth and match into that, that's the kind of thing that we're keen to be looking at. So if just particularly for those of you in the Love Your Neighbour network, please let's work together on that and let us know if you're interested. But maybe the first question I could start with is the one that I saw earlier, which was really a question about GDPR data sharing. And can you just clarify how you know and what can be communicated about where people are at the moment? Okay,
so really good question, Tom. So we are working very closely with the Home Office and what's known as the VCSEP. So the short version of it is the Emergency Partnership. So we get the call directly from the Home Office to say, look, we know you, we trust you. Can you stand up support for us in these areas? And that's how that's come. We do not share that information. It's not on a Twitter site. It's not on our website. We will put a call out normally through the network that we know of that are already registered Welcome Churches. That helps us because if you're part of the Welcome Churches network, you can come under the Welcome Churches GDPR covering. That's another reason you need to join. And then we can put you in touch, but we'll only do it at the request of the Home Office. That's the way we've been working. Actually, we're now hearing directly from some local authorities who are also asking for our help, and that's when we're engaging. So we're coming at the invitation of, rather than just rocking up to a hotel and saying, here we are, you've never heard of us, we're trying to offer some support. We're coming because government, and this is what's exciting for me. I feel like this is a Joseph, Esther, Daniel moment when the government recognizes there's something that the church and wider civil society can offer in terms of assistance. And we don't get involved in the party politics. We've got strong views, I'm sure, right across this room about how the government are treating asylum seekers and refugees. That debate can happen elsewhere. Our job is, how can we help you make a good job of making sure these Afghan people are getting the support and help that they need? So join Welcome Churches and you can come under our GDPR. You're making Emily's day because she loves a little GDPR conversation.
Can you, and there's this question very specifically, just can you say again, how do people sign up practically?
Okay, so if you go to the Welcome Churches website, Emily's put it in the chat, she'll do it again for you. It will link you straight to a form. Now, because of that GDPR piece, there are certain people that you need to sign this off in your church. And one of them is the person that handles data. Just like most of our churches now have a child protection person, your church, if it holds any data on anybody, has probably got someone in charge of data. They need to sign this off too. There you go. We're talking about GDPR and 2 questions in a row. And then you become part of the Welcome Churches network. Emily, is there anything you want to add about joining?
No, just to say it's welcomechurches.org/join. It's been in the chat a few times, and that will send you to the right place.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
So I think hopefully that answers Caroline McDonald your question as well about how you'll know if there's a hotel near us, because obviously the Welcome Church will be able to connect in with you if and as appropriate. That's the process. Interesting question from Matthew Knox. I'm a chaplain in a non-church school. Can schools join in, and how best?
Oh yeah, that'd be fantastic. I think if you are in a school, maybe contact us directly, because most people aren't coming from a school perspective. We are talking to the Church of England Schools Network as well. And if I can get time, I'm trying to get to the Catholic Schools Network, because the majority of people coming seem to have primary school age children. That's going to be a real need. But I think what's happening is, for a lot of the hotels, the LA, because they're just focusing on getting people somewhere safe to live, they haven't even begun to work out how we're going to do schooling. And in some of these areas, you've got, 175 Afghan children who speak Pashto and Dari and who've been highly traumatized by the whole experience, and you might only have 1 or 2 local primary schools. So trying to get 175 children to integrate into a school of 200, how is that ever going to happen? So some people are probably thinking, I've got a big meeting about this with the Department for Education tomorrow, that we might wait to try and do school until people move to their permanent or, semi-permanent housing. The problem is that could be months. So we're just trying to figure out what is a safe, child protection friendly, culturally appropriate, hotel friendly way that something might be delivered in school, in hotel. And we have not rolled that out yet because we haven't got a model for it, but we are partnering with this Refugee Education UK, who have specialist experience in this. And the best we can do at the moment is offer them a welcome pack in the languages that they speak to help at least mums and dads have some kind of navigation about how the system works, and trying to get laptops appropriately checked and covered into the hands of children, so they might be able to access some of the online learning facilities. So that's all we're able to do at the moment. We think more will be possible later.
Yeah, just to say on that, so we're working with Refugee Education UK to provide training to teachers and anyone else involved in education on the needs of Afghans. So that will be coming up in the next month or so. So if you join our mailing list, we'll keep you updated with that.
Thanks, Emily. Thanks, Chris. Mia's got a question. What are the skills that refugees, the Afghan refugees in this context, tend to have for jobs? Say a bit about what you see as the job challenge and opportunity, Chris.
Ali, do you want to comment on that one?
Yeah, I mean, based on the work experience that they were involved with the British government, so they do have lots of experience, whether it's going to be practical, like as mentioned, like being a mechanic, being an electrician, a plumber. But some of them, even they do have more experience. For example, in one case, they say that before actually being a security guard at the British Embassy, he was a tailor. So that's another experience. Some of them has got a kind of the multi skills rather than just being a translator or just being a driver or a security guard. So they do have practical skills, but I don't know whether these skills are recognized by the UK institution. That's going to be something that we need to find out, but definitely they do have different practical skills that on the job market we can use that.
That's so right, Ali. And again, it's about timing. We tried to set up some opportunities with one of the hotels, and it was just a little bit too early. They were still in the kind of trauma recovery mode, but there's a sweet spot, because I'm now hearing from that same hotel, boredom, frustration, they don't have any friends, they've got nothing to do, they're used to working. So that time to be able to engage employment is soon, but might not be everywhere yet. And also the English skills, as Ali was saying, really varies. So the perception out there is that these were all translators and interpreters. I would say of the men, and it's normally the men that have been employed, we're probably talking about maybe 5 out of 30 that speak really great English, 5 that speak some English, and maybe 20 that don't speak any at all. And particularly the women, just because of the way that Afghan culture works, many of them don't speak English at all, and most seem to be illiterate in their mother tongue as well. They can speak it and understand it, but they can't read or write it. So we've been talking to the hospitality industry, which is in real demand of more people, and you don't need to necessarily speak English in order to be able to be useful. There's a whole bunch of Eastern Europeans that couldn't come here because of COVID and Brexit, so that could work. We're working on some provision around bank accounts, because in order to get a job, most employers want you to have a bank account. It's hard to get a bank account when you're in a hotel. So we're working with HSBC, who have got a homelessness bank account. Barclays seem to be able to offer something for people who are employed by the UKVI listed companies. So that's another bit. And if you're in the banking world or you're well connected there, you might be able to offer our little scratch team of volunteers some assistance on that. Just to say on that, we pulled together about 2 weeks ago. I just put out a shout to all of my friends to say, hey, who could help us in this emergency? And incredibly, people have rocked up with all the right skills. So Shona, we mentioned earlier, great project management skills. Her husband's a web designer. That's been great. One of the lead pastors at Jesus House has come forward. He's got a good business background. He's been helping us engage with banks. Someone else who used to run Soul Survivors Accommodation Network has said, I will see if we can track down some Christian conference centers that might be able to be alternative accommodation to some of these ropey hotels that are being used. So it's been amazing. So if you find you have some capacity yourself or in your wider team, there are distinct jobs we could give you, but I need people that have got days a week rather than hours a week that could help. Otherwise it becomes complicated, but we're still in the emergency mode as people are being moved around the country.
Thanks, Krish. We've got about 7 minutes left, so I'll just try and crack through. I'm tending not to read out the comments because everyone can read that themselves in the chat, but I will just read this one. I think it's an important one from Neil Jameson. Please don't forget about the Home Office accredited community sponsorship scheme, which allows faith and secular groups to support a whole family find a home, English as second language, resettle over 2 years, and there's check out the At the Reset website for more information. Thanks so much for that, Neil. Also, brilliant to have Sharon Keogh on this call. Sharon's been a key part of the Love Your Neighbour Alliance. They experienced in the Salvation Army and now at Kingsgate Church in Peterborough. Sharon, I'm going to pick on you quickly because I'm interested by this work that the task force being led by the local authority. Can you just give us a kind of very headline piece, how you work with the local authority and what's that look like, as well as your question?
Yeah, afternoon, everyone. So we've worked previously with a local task force supporting Syrian refugees. And our church, we run a furniture project. So we've furnished houses over the last 4 or 5 years for Syrian families coming through. So we've been asked to be part of the evacuation of Afghan. So our city's committed to 100 people coming. So that's about 15 houses that we'll be furnishing. And it's a fantastic partnership. So we've got Muslim charities involved, we've got other voluntary sector, we've got the local authority, we've got education, DWP. It's something that's built over a number of years.
Where are you, Sharon?
In Peterborough.
Brilliant.
So we have a huge gap in Peterborough. We really need your church to sign up to the network. That big plea there. We've got a big gap in that part of the world.
Yeah. Okay, well, we can talk after this.
Yeah.
My question is, because we're already involved in this, if we have any needs for some of the resources you talked about earlier, is there some way that we could link in to access some of those resources if we can't source it locally?
Yeah, definitely. Go on,
so
Emily.
if you join the network, you can get access to those resources. So it's as simple as that. And churches that are part of the network will be able to get access to all the resources that Krish has been talking about. So yeah, really excited to see you here.
Great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.
It's free to join. It just helps us to be able to say to the government, look what the church in all of its different sizes and flavors and denomination is doing. And it just helps us with the coordination. But yeah, particularly that urgent need around baby basics. That's the charity we're focusing on. That seems to be what's needed in the emergency. And then as we go through into phase 2, these other resources that we'll source centrally will then deploy in those other areas too. But great work, Sharon. It's lovely when those different agencies are working well together. In other areas, they're starting from scratch. And it's slower and more complicated. So, brilliant that you're ahead of the game with what you've already been doing. I saw a question about unaccompanied asylum-seeking children. That's something close to my heart. I just wanted to come in there. So in order to qualify for the Afghan Resettlement and Assistance Program, ARAP, that's the 8,000 people that have come, you needed to have worked with or for the UK government or our forces, and you're then able to bring your family with you. So under that scheme, as far as I know, very few, if any, unaccompanied asylum-seeking children have come. But many of the unaccompanied asylum-seeking children that made their own way to the UK over the last few years are from Afghanistan. And there's an interesting challenge, and it's one that we're talking to the government about, in that we have been returning children that made their own way here back to Afghanistan. Now, obviously, that can't happen at the moment with the airport closed. So why wouldn't we just include these children as part of our response to the Afghan crisis? So there is a need nationally for people who can either foster or provide supported lodging, that's like having a lodger in your house that's from that cohort. They tend to be 15 to 18-year-old boys. They are absolutely incredible people, the ones that I've met. They are really needy. They're very happy to kind of get on with their lives, but they need some family structure in order to give them the support that they need. If that's something that you're passionate about, then message me and I can put you in touch with the right people.
Thank you so much, Krish. Last question. I've lost it now. Oh, it's from Gareth Dickinson. Just switching to thinking about housing. I know this is a little way down the line, so there's lots of work to be done. But as Gareth says, he understands the Church of England is possibly working on a plan to offer vacant vicarages. Yeah. Are you aware of that? Is that the case? I think just to broaden that question, are there other schemes that you're aware of the church, or that the churches can connect with? Just giving us visibility, what might be coming down the line?
So that was the early phone call I got from the Home Office, and myself and Bishop Paul Butler, who is just amazing. He's a lovely bishop based up in Durham, and he's a member of the House of Lords. We both got the same, help, can you find us some housing? And I've checked with the Church of England, with the Anglican Church, with the Catholic Church, with the Salvation Army, with the Methodist Church. Are you guys sitting on loads of vacant properties? To which the answer is always, no, we're not. So sadly, that seems to be, there aren't hundreds of properties available, maybe a handful dotted across the country. So that's not going to be a route for most of this solution. But there are other projects working at the moment to see if we can find more properties. And I keep hearing about green pastures. I need to connect with them. I haven't yet. There might be other housing associations or groups that would be passionate about this. I'm hearing about groups of investors that are thinking of buying properties together in local authorities that are willing to support Afghan refugees. So all sorts of stuff's coming. And if that's something you're passionate about, reach out to us. I've got someone on my team looking specifically at that.
Thank you so much, Krish. I think that is our time. And I think we just want to say a huge thank you. I'd like to thank everybody, really, over 200 people coming onto this for just, all that you're doing. And I'm very aware of the facts I mentioned at the beginning. I can see people from the Salvation Army who, have been doing this stuff for years, and we honor your expertise. I've seen somebody from Hillsong. I know that Hillsong are doing a lot in this area, and I know there's going to be lots of people I haven't seen, and others of you are doing things I don't even know what you're doing. But I just want to say that I guess just honor what you're all doing, and to thank you all for the interest you're taking, for joining together this on short notice. But I think just to conclude, there is a recording. There was a question about recording. This has been recorded, and I'm sure Krish, whether through Love Your Neighbour or through Krish, we can make that recording available to anybody. It would be helpful to see. So just get in touch with us. Let us know. Annie Ellis at Love Your Neighbour. Get in touch with Annie at Love Your Neighbour through the website. And Annie will pop up her email address, I'm sure, as well as through Welcome Churches. And I think we should just finish by thanking you so much again, Krish, for your lead, for Emily for your lead, and for taking this time with us. And God bless you. And I'll just close in prayer again. Lord, bless Welcome Church, bless Krish, bless Emily, bless the work of church up and down this country. And Lord, we pray for your blessing on Afghan people as they come here. And of course, we don't forget those who are still in Afghanistan, and including, Lord, those who are brothers and sisters in Christ. And we just pray, Lord, for you to be working in ways we can hardly comprehend, to be bringing your hope, your peace, your love, your strength all over the world. We ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you so much, Krish.
Great to see you all. Do get in touch. Use the contact form on the afghanwelcome.org website if you've got specific questions or offers. I don't want your two-piece sofa, but any other support you can give will be fantastic. It's good to see friends, as was said, from Hillsong and Salvation Army. They've been amazing. There is no way this is Welcome Churches on their own, or even Baby Basics. It's dozens of church networks and groups working together, and it's just been a delight. So thank you everybody for all your support, and let's stay in touch.
God bless everyone. Bye.
Well done, Tom. Talk to you soon.